All right, you sick fucks, welcome back to Fun Theory. We're diving deep into some seriously messed up shit today. How the hell do you survive Skull Island? I mean, come on, we've all seen the movies. That place is a goddamn death trap.
Not exactly a walk in the park, no. But hey, that's what makes it fun, right? Pushing the limits, staring death in the face. Who needs therapy when you got Skull Island?
I'm not sure I'm ready to trade my therapist for a giant gorilla just yet. But gotta admit, the idea of surviving in a prehistoric jungle, kind of badass. So let's break it down. We got the survival guide that basically tells you how to not become Dino Chow. Rule number 1, know your enemy.
Damn right. And on Skull Island, your enemies come in all shapes and sizes. You got your usual suspects, giant spiders, prehistoric lizards. Oh, and did I mention a freaking Kong?
Right, the big guy himself. But I'm thinking even before you run into Kong, you got to deal with the smaller, creepier shit. Like those goddamn Skullcrawlers. Seriously, those things are nightmare fuel.
Skullcrawlers definitely top the list of things that will fuck you up. Imagine just chilling in your makeshift jungle hut thinking you're safe, and bam, one of those suckers bursts out of the ground ready to make you its next meal.
Okay, now I'm getting flashbacks to that scene from the movie. Nope, not gonna happen. I'm sticking to the trees, thanks. Speaking of trees, this survival guide says we might be able to make friends with some of the local wildlife. Apparently there's this giant bird that's like Kong's BFF. Think we could hitch a ride?
Now that's an interesting strategy. Alliances are key in any survival situation, even on a crazy island like this. But I wouldn't count on befriending a giant bird. Those things are unpredictable, man. One minute they're saving Kong's ass, the next they're swooping down and snatching up some poor sap for a snack.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's Skull Island, not Disney World. But hey, a guy can dream right. Maybe we could offer it some berries or something. Bribery always works.
Listen, if you want to try your luck with a giant bird, be my guest. But I'm sticking to the tried and true methods. Stay alert, keep moving, and pray like hell you don't run into anything with more than 2 teeth.
Solid advice. But you know what really freaks me out? The mysterious people of Skull Island.
Ah,
This survival guide mentions them, but it's super vague about what their deal is. Like, do they worship Kong? Are they trying to kill him? What's their story?
that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? They seem to have this weird, uneasy relationship with Kong. Maybe they're just trying to stay the hell out of his way like everyone else. Or maybe they know something we don't. Something about the island, about Kong. Something ancient and powerful.
Dude, you're making my skin crawl.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love Fun Theory. We go from giant birds to ancient secrets in like 5 minutes. But seriously, those people must have some serious survival skills to live alongside Kong and all the other crazy shit on that island.
They're like the ultimate badasses. Imagine the stories they could tell, the knowledge they possess about the island's creatures and plants. Hell, they probably know how to make a fire with 2 sticks and a goddamn leaf.
I'd kill to get a glimpse into their world. But something tells me they're not exactly the welcoming committee type.
You're probably right. They've probably learned to avoid outsiders, and for good reason. Who knows what kind of trouble humans have brought to their island over the centuries.
Good point. We've got a pretty shitty track record when it comes to respecting nature, especially when there's something to exploit. Speaking of exploitation, remember that 2005 King Kong movie? The one where they drag poor Kong to New York and he goes on a rampage? Talk about a bad idea.
Yeah, that didn't end well for anyone, did it? Kong was just trying to protect Darrow, and what did we do? We slapped him in chains and put him on display like some kind of freak show.
Classic human arrogance, thinking we can control nature, bend it to our will. It's like we never learn, do we?
Maybe that's the real lesson of Skull Island. It's not just about surviving the monsters. It's about confronting our own inner demons. Our greed, our ignorance, our tendency to fuck things up.
Damn, you're getting all philosophical on me. But I think you're onto something. Maybe surviving Skull Island requires more than just physical strength and survival skills. Maybe it requires a shift in perspective, a willingness to see the world through different eyes.
Exactly. It's about understanding the delicate balance of nature, respecting the power of the creatures we encounter, and maybe learning a little bit about ourselves in the process.
All right, folks, that's a wrap for part 1 of our Skull Island Survival Guide. We've covered the basics. Don't get eaten by skullcrawlers. Don't try to befriend giant birds, and try not to piss off the locals. Oh, and maybe pack a therapist just in case.
Always a good idea.
We'll be back to delve even deeper into the mysteries of Skull Island.
Stay tuned. It's going to get wild.
Back again, Fun Theory fans. Still neck deep in this Skull Island survival shit. And let me tell you, it's a jungle out there, literally.
Speaking of jungles, let's talk about that ecosystem, man. It's not just about the giant monsters, it's the whole damn food chain. You got these bizarre plants, insects the size of your head, and all sorts of crazy creatures that have adapted to this insane environment.
So basically a giant prehistoric buffet where everything wants to eat you. Great. Just what I always wanted in a vacation.
Well, think of it this way, it's survival of the fittest on steroids. You gotta think like a predator and prey. Stay alert, be resourceful, and learn to use the environment to your advantage.
Okay, I'm listening. What kind of practical tips are you talking about besides, don't die?
First off, shelter. Crucial. You need a place to protect yourself from the elements and those hungry predators. Survival guides suggest finding a natural shelter, like a cave or a dense thicket, something to keep you hidden from those giant eyes in the sky.
Makes sense. Want to be spotted by a flock of those giant birds we talked about. He'd probably mistake me for a flying squirrel or something.
Exactly. Blending in is key. Camouflage yourself, learn to move silently, and try not to attract any unwanted attention. Remember, you're not just dealing with Kong. You've got a whole prehistoric army of critters that would love to make you their next meal.
Gotcha. So less about conquering the island, more about being a sneaky ninja.
Pretty much. And speaking of sneaky D, let's talk about those mysterious people of Skull Island again. These guys are the ultimate survivalists. They've managed to coexist with Kong and all that other crazy shit for who knows how long.
Yeah, they're fascinating. I mean, we don't know much about them, but they're clearly not just hiding in caves. They got to have some kind of system, some way of navigating this insane world.
I'd bet they have a deep understanding of the island's ecosystem. They probably know which plants are edible, which ones will kill you, and how to track animals without becoming the hunted. Like nature whisperers.
Damn, I wish we had one of them on the show. They could teach us a thing or two about survival.
Well, who knows? Maybe someday we'll get an exclusive interview. But until then, we'll have to rely on our imaginations and this survival guide.
All right, so we've got shelter camouflage and maybe some lessons from the island natives. What about food and water? How the hell do you find something safe to eat in a prehistoric jungle?
That's where things get tricky. The guide recommends learning to identify edible plants and insects. There are probably fruits, berries, even some roots that are safe. But you gotta be careful, one wrong bite and you're pushing up daisies.
For a show called Fun Theory, this is starting to sound a lot like How to Die on Skull Island.
Hey, knowledge is power, right? Even if it's about how to avoid getting poisoned by a prehistoric berry. The guide also emphasizes finding a reliable water source. Rivers, streams, springs, anything that's not stagnant and filled with creepy crawlies.
Okay, taking notes. Edible plants, check. Clean water, check. Avoid anything that looks like it could kill me, double check. Anything else I should add to my Skull Island survival kit?
Well, the guide suggests a basic first aid kit fire starter and a sturdy knife. But honestly, the most important tool you bring to Skull Island is your brain.
Right, because brawn over brains never works out in these situations. You got to think your way out of trouble, not just fight through it.
Exactly. Observe your surroundings, learn from your mistakes, and don't be afraid to get creative. Remember, this is a world where the rules are different. What might seem illogical to us could be the key to survival on Skull Island.
You're starting to sound like a Zen master of survival. I almost feel ready to face Kong himself. Almost.
Don't get cocky. Still a lot more to unpack.
Well, folks, we're going to delve even deeper into surviving Skull Island. What does it take to stay sane when surrounded by giant monsters and prehistoric creatures? We'll find out together.
Let's do it.
Back for more Fun Theory Maniacs. We've been talking about how to survive the prehistoric horrors of Skull Island, but now we got to face the biggest beast of all our own minds.
Damn right. We've covered the physical shit, the monsters, the environment, the sheer terror of being in a place where evolution took a wrong turn, but this psychological impact of being stranded in that prehistoric hellhole, that's a whole other level of fucked up.
Seriously, how do you stay sane? Surrounded by giant spiders, creepy crawlies, and a gorilla the size of a skyscraper. I'd be losing my shit faster than you can say banana.
That's where mental resilience comes in. Think about it. Those mysterious people we keep mentioning, they figured out a way to cope, to find some peace amidst the chaos.
Maybe they just went full primal, embracing the whole kill or be killed thing. Honestly, I wouldn't blame them. Hell, I might even join their tribe.
Tempting, isn't it? To shed all the bullshit of modern life and just exist in the raw wilderness. But I think there's more to it than that. The survival guide talks about finding meaning, purpose, even in the most extreme situations.
Okay, so how do you find meaning when you're dodging dinosaurs and trying not to get squashed by Kong? Start a gratitude journal. Meditate under a waterfall.
Maybe. But seriously, I think it's about tapping into our primal instincts, our connection to nature. Remember Anne Darrow in the King Kong movie? She connected with Kong, saw beyond the monster, and recognized the intelligence and empathy within.
Right? The whole Beauty and the Beast thing. It's easy to forget that even the most terrifying creatures can have complex emotions, motivations, even a twisted sense of beauty.
Exactly. And maybe that's the key to surviving Skull Island. It's not about conquering the environment. It's about understanding it, respecting it, finding a way to coexist with the forces that seem so alien to us.
So instead of running and hiding, we should be trying to learn from the creatures, the ecosystem, the whole prehistoric vibe. I'm not sure I'm ready to have a heart-to-heart with a skullcrawler, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
Look, I'm not saying you need to hug a dinosaur or braid Kong's hair, but there's something to be said for recognizing the interconnectedness of all living things. Even on Skull Island, there's a balance, a web of relationships that keeps the whole system functioning.
Dan, that's deep. So our Skull Island survival strategy boils down to this: respect the ecosystem, find meaning in the chaos, and maybe try to make friends with a giant bird.
Hey, it's worth a shot.
Hmm.
But on a serious note, I think the real lesson of Skull Island is that survival isn't just about physical strength or cunning. It's about adaptability, resilience,
Yeah.
and a willingness to face the unknown with courage and humility.
Well said. All right, Fun Theory fans, that's our deep dive into Skull Island. We covered a lot, from terrifying creatures to the philosophical shit about surviving in a prehistoric world. But most importantly, we had some laughs, because that's what Fun Theory is all about: exploring the absurd, the fascinating, and the downright terrifying with a healthy dose of humor and curiosity.
Cheers to that.
Stay curious, stay safe, and remember, don't fuck with Kong.